This is Carter's Court, where silence gets cross-examined and justice gets put on trial.
Well, here we are again. Welcome back, everybody, to Carter's Court. Take two.
We thought this was the right place to start this series because it's where everything starts. The courtroom, that cold, cynical place where your future is debated like a contract, where your ability to parent or to even afford groceries, to live freely, is decided by someone who doesn't know you at all. So today on Carter's Court, we're diving into one of the most isolating, unjust experiences you can face in Canada's legal system, which is representing yourself in family court. So what does it actually feel like to be unrepresented in that courtroom?
Like you're riding a bicycle through hell.
Yeah, sure.
It's not funny, but it can feel for people like they are on trial before you even have a chance to speak. You can feel underdressed, you can feel outnumbered and completely outgunned. You won't know the language and you can't always navigate the system, and it feels like everybody around you knows that. Right. The judges, the lawyers, the clerks, they look at you like you're wasting their time.
Wasting their time. So how many people are actually going and facing court without a lawyer? Is it really that common?
It's more common than a lot of people realize. Even myself, prior to this, and in 2024, about 72% of family law cases in Canada involved at least one self-represented litigant. That means that majority of people in family court today are going in without legal counsel. Right. Not because they want to, everybody wants a lawyer, but they cannot afford one.
They're not cheap.
Not even under legal aid. Legal aid, you make too much even if you're living paycheck to... We talked about this. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, how does the court treat them? Does being self-represented really change how the judge handles your case?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that statement. In a 2024 Justice Canada survey, almost 90% of judges said that one or both parties were unrepresented in about half of their child support cases. Most of these judges admitted that these cases were harder because of the time that they had to take out to explain to people who were self-represented what they need to do and how they need to act.
So to navigate around legal jargon. Yes.
It became an inconvenience to them, so they stopped doing it, which did no favors to the people who were self-represented. And my stat drop, I talked about how many complaints were filed against judges. Over 900 were filed, and not a single one of those complaints had led to a public hearing or any accountability, because at the end of the day, these judges are essentially untouchable. Right. People often say things like, well, you just got a bad judge. Like it's normal, or a mild inconvenience. But people have lost their homes because of not being able to afford things. People have lost custody of their children when they're good to honest, good parents. Worst of all, though, children have died under, court orders. They're not opinions. These are not exaggerations. These are facts. These are real children, real deaths, and real court failures. It goes on. According to, I believe it was the Center for Judicial Excellence, over 700 children have been by a parent during court-ordered custody or visitation just in the last decade alone.
That number's too high.
Yeah. It is too high. Those are innocent lives gone. But there is the ones that are still here, the ones that are still breathing and still getting completely crushed. Because not every bad court order ends in death, which is pretty much as bad as you can get. But sometimes it's, it just destroys your entire life while you're still forced to live it. We're talking about parents who can't afford to survive because of child support orders that ignore real facts like travel costs, caregiving time, and actual income are forced to represent while other sides get lawyers because of the money that they're spending. The manipulation and the sympathy, they all get dismissed. Silenced are treated like criminals because they don't play the court game the right way. They get punished for moving to protect another child, for families who have secondary children, or for needing help, or for showing up too emotional, because people will often say, no, don't bring emotion into it. At the end of the day, this is your life.
Yeah.
And what's the excuse we always hear for all of that? Well, it depends on what judge you get that day.
Okay.
That quote should horrify everyone, because justice should not depend on who you got that day.
Yeah.
Your life, your future, your child's safety, none of it should hang in the balance of judicial roulette. Some judges are fair. I've seen it. Some aren't. Some care. Some don't. Some listen, and some ruin lives before lunchtime, and they'll never think about it again. No one holds them accountable. No oversight, no consequences, just a courtroom with a clock, and you're hoping that you got lucky that day.
Right.
So yes, some children die, and that's terrible, but many more are trapped in systems where they are neglected, silenced, ignored, and where good parents are completely erased. Where lies win over love, where the cost is everything. This isn't just about the children who are dying. This is about the living, the ones still carrying the weight of those judges' careless orders day after day. And if we don't start demanding change now, more children will die, more families will break, and more lives will be stolen by silence, by fear, and by a broken bench that answers to no one.
Right.
This isn't justice. This is systemic abuse. We call it law.
Yeah, so, people walk in already losing. And they walk out with what?
Well, most of them will walk out with legal orders that they didn't expect, and sometimes they don't know. All the time they don't understand. A lot of people go into court expecting to talk things through, or thinking that that's what they're going to be doing, and instead they are told to sign something, especially without informed consent, making a decision right then and there on the spot.
Right.
And that's how people get trapped.
So trapped how?
Well, in Alberta and Manitoba, consent desk orders are used every single day. People show up without lawyers, thinking that they're discussing the parenting to try to find some solution. And when they get there, they get handed these pre-drafted orders. Now, I think it was 45 or 46% of self-represented parents in Canada admitted that they signed court documents that they didn't fully understand. They thought it was just paperwork. Instead, they're locking themselves into legally binding and financial obligations that they couldn't meet. Right. A lot of people don't understand the jargon around it, where, binding JDR. A lot of people will think that's a better idea than trial. It's not. And so many people don't realize that.
And once that ink is dry, you're stuck with it.
Stamped and sealed. Stuck. Exactly. If you want out of it, you have to file what they call a variation, which they won't look at right away because they just filed it, so you'll get denied, or an appeal. An appeal, you have 30 days to file, and if you have no money to file within that 30 days, because there's a lot of money around filing, you're stuck. You're stuck in that order. And the shame that those people carry, it's unreal. They feel like they've failed, but the system has set them up to fail. And for so many, the worst part is that they don't even realize what has happened to them until it's too late. Yeah. That sinking feeling that comes days or weeks later when the order is in place and your file is closed. Nobody in the courtroom wants to help you fix it. They say you should have caught it earlier, like a lawyer would have. But you didn't have one. You just had hope which will get you nowhere.
Yeah, unfortunately, hope is not what it used to be, I guess.
And the truth isn't either.
I want the truth.
Let's be real. So the legal costs and child support bills don't stop in Alberta.
No.
So how are dads supposed to afford it all?
Yeah, that is a great question that I'm still trying to figure out myself. In Alberta, family lawyers typically cost between $200 and $600 per hour. And some senior lawyers go up even further than I think the highest I've seen is about $800 an hour.
My God.
And if you need more than a basic consultation, which a lot of judges will say, go talk to somebody for an hour, those can start at, $2,500. Then you get hit with that child support. It's in Alberta around $400 without any back pay.
So much.
Without Section 7 expenses, which I learned a funny, interesting fact about this. So Section 7 expenses are things like daycare and extracurricular activities. When you're in a situation where it's not 50-50, the custodial parent is able to choose what daycare they want that child in, what extracurriculars they want that child in, and the paying parent has no say. So what a lot of...
No say.
What a lot of mothers will do is, you're going to private school, you're going to ballet, you're going to all the most expensive things. The father has to pay that. No choice.
And it's not 50-50.
No, it does depend on some of the figures, but it's typically quite a bit more than what that mother has to pay, and he has no choice.
Right.
So living in this economy, how is anybody supposed to survive that and still, they're still treated like a deadbeat if they can't afford a lawyer on top of all of those things.
Yeah.
The truth is that the system demands that you be lawyered up to be understood, and you're ridiculed for not being able to afford that on top of everything else.
Yeah.
The reality is they don't give you the tools that you need to fight at all.
Yeah, so the damage isn't just legal, it's emotional.
It goes past emotion. It's, if I'm going to be real, it's psychological warfare.
That's a good way to put it.
It's learned helplessness legalized.
Yeah.
You start to believe that there is and will be no way out.
Right.
And by the time you realize what's happening, your child support is already unpayable, your parenting time is erased, and the court calls this fair. Fair.
It's anything far from fair. So if you've ever walked out of a courtroom feeling like you lost something you didn't even know you were fighting for, you're not alone. And if you've ever experienced this yet, like if you haven't experienced it at all yet, well, now you know what's happening inside those rooms. So make sure you keep an eye out for our next stat episode. It's a no filter, data backed, that tells you exactly what's coming next week.
Yeah.
So be sure to check that out as well.
Yeah. We'll do those separately and kind of give you a glimpse at what's coming.
Yeah, it'll be kind of neat to do a little shortened series there on top of our lengthy podcast, because there's a lot of information to talk about.
Yeah, there is. There's going to be no shortage, and I want to make sure that we're breaking it down so people can see how everything, plays out in these today things.
Yeah. With that being said, this is Carter's Court.
Welcome to the fight.